Hello, lovely students. It's always a great joy to have a special time with you, and I hope you are all well. It is my joy that we'll all be in good health as we stick to the strict rules of COVID-19. And I believe as we do our part, God will surely watch over us. Okay. Today's lesson is going to be very brief, concise, I want your full attention, okay? So I'm going to take you through comprehension, and we are using the passage on page 128 and 129. That is unit 17. Unit 17, page 128 and 129. And we are going to look at the passage entitled Obey the Rules of Your Community. Obey the rules of your community. Okay, so our objective for the lesson. By the end of the lesson, the learner should be able to find suitable synonyms to replace underlined words or keywords. Okay, the learner will be able to find suitable synonyms, that's words nearest in meaning, to replace underlined words or keywords. 2. Identify new idioms and explain them in their own words. You will to identify new idioms and use your own words to give the meaning. Then lastly, identify a figure of speech in a given line or phrase. Identify a figure of speech in a given line or phrase. Okay. Let us quickly look at the keywords. Some keywords I have identified. Okay. So we have mess, restricted, resist, took to their heels, comments, with one accord, put up with. I'll take the words again. Mess, restricted, resist, took to their heels, comment, with one accord, put up with. Okay. For today's lesson, I won't give you the meaning of these words. I'm going to lay emphasis on the words as I take you through the passage, okay? And so I would want to emphasize that anytime you have a passage to read, you need to read carefully. Devote time and attention to what you are reading. And reading carefully, what you expect to do also is that you read giving respect to the punctuation marks in the passage, because that is what gives the meaning. The punctuation marks give meaning to what you are reading. Okay. Thirdly, you don't read fast when you have a passage. This is not reading aloud. This is where you must read silently. You read to yourself, okay? You read silently. I hope that is clear. Okay, that is nice. And I believe that as we go through passage by passage, day in, day out, we will get to a point where we'll find it very easy identifying synonyms to words given. Irrespective of the words you are given, you will be able to find keywords, okay, or synonyms to those words. All right, now one thing about finding synonyms that some of us really don't know is that sometimes we are disturbed when we come across words and we think they are too big for us. The thing is, we should not be discouraged, okay? Mostly for passages, when you are given passages, what you do is that, or as the words are even underlined, when you read further, you have a word giving a clue to what the underlined word means. Okay, I'll cite some examples as you go through the passage. All you have to do is to pay attention. Is that clear? And then you listen attentively. Okay, so I'll quickly take you through the passage. Okay, obey the rules of your community. Jane and John are siblings. Jane, the elder, is in junior high school, but John is in class 4. They had lost their parents some years earlier and were living with their aunt, Mimi. Mimi was a good woman. She played the role of a mother, father, and aunt very well. Jane loved her aunt very much, but John was always getting into trouble. Aunt Mimi, a simple but industrious woman, patiently put up with all of John's misbehavior without much comment. John's greatest fault was his dishonesty. One day, John got himself into trouble. It was a real mess. He and his friends went playing football in a restricted area. Children were not allowed to play there, but with no one around, the temptation was too much to resist. They played for a long time. Finally, they decided to leave, but John decided to take a final kick. The ball went straight into the window of the nearest building. There was a crash. Tinkling of glass followed. The boys opened their eyes wide, hands on their heads. Slowly, they turned round to look into one another's eyes. Then, with one accord, they turned round and took to their heels. All forgot about the ball. They ran so fast. No one stopped until they were very far away from the trouble spot. "That was close," panted Ose. "Close? We left the ball there," said John. "You shouldn't have played the ball the last time," shouted Ose. "Oh, I'm dead," said John. When they got to the school campus, school had long closed, so they also hurried to their various homes. Okay, I read aloud because I want you to follow the same way. Okay, I want you to toe my line of reading. Is that clear? So I read aloud. Okay, so it is nice when you listen to yourself read. Okay, so as you read, you listen to yourself. Okay, so this is what the passage is about. Okay, and I have given you the objective, and so not to forget the objective for the lesson, I want us to go back to the words we have. Then I will give you a summary of the passage. Okay, so I will identify something in the passage and then we'll all go there. So let's go to paragraph 2. Paragraph 2. Okay, paragraph 2. I hope we are there. All right, so I'll take the first 2 lines. Let's listen carefully. My underlined the word there is mess. Mess. Okay, so let's listen. John's greatest fault was his dishonesty. One day, John got himself into trouble. It was real mess. Do you think we have a clue there? If that word is underlined, do you think you can easily get the keyword for that? Can we? Yeah, sure we can. Sure we can. Okay, sure we can. So like I said, you pay attention to the words underlined in the passage, and you also pay attention to all surrounding words. Okay, all right. So a clue can be given before the word or after the word mentioned. So I'll take it again. John's greatest fault was his dishonesty. So assuming I had underlined fault, John's greatest fault was his dishonesty. What do you think would be the synonym to that? So his greatest problem. Okay, very good. Now let's proceed. One day, John got himself into trouble. It was a real mess. Mess has been underlined. Do you have a clue there? Okay. So mess there can be trouble, okay? Mess there can be trouble. It can be an unpleasant situation as well. So in case the unpleasant situation doesn't come in mind, you realize that you have trouble just after trouble, you have the word mess mentioned. I hope that is clear. Okay, so it will be very easy for us to get synonyms to these words. And there are some words that also use took to their heels. So let's go to where we have took to their heels and see what that means. Now listen, I said that sometimes the clue is given when you read on. So listen. Then with one accord, they turned round, and took to their heels. All forgot about the ball. They ran so fast. And the phrase underlined here is took to their heels. So what do you think would be the meaning of this phrase here? Okay, of this idiom here, took to their heels. They forgot about the ball. They ran so fast. So you see, it is very simple when we read carefully. It is very simple when we pay attention to words we are not familiar with in the passage. Okay, and it is very simple when we dedicate time to our reading. All right, now let's look at the summary of what we have here. Two siblings, Jane and John, are orphans. Their aunt took them in and provided all their needs to make them comfortable. John seemed to be the opposite of Jane, the eldest. One day, during his truancy, he got himself into real trouble. Together with his friends, they went to a forbidden place to play football when the others were in school. Unfortunately for him, he broke the glass of a building. Without hesitation, they sped off, forgetting about the ball, and returned to school. On their arrival, they realized school had closed for the day and they had no option than to go to their various homes. All right, so this is just a summary of the passage we have read. Okay, so I have just given you a bit of what I think it is about. I hope that is clear. So with this, you have more idea on what the passage is about. Okay, so this is where we'll end today's lesson. I hope to meet you another time. Stay blessed and be safe. It is very, very necessary. Bye bye.